Hey, what's up? What's up? Back with the very first video of the documentary. So I kind of want to scream right now because I did like a 15-minute video already, and somehow it all got erased. So I do not have it. So I'm doing this for a second time, and I'm feeling exhausted because I think my sleep apnea mouthpiece is not working. So I'm just struggling, and I'm also dealing with a couple other issues with the other products. So I'm kind of juggling multiple things, and I've got to leave in about 15 minutes for my daughter's softball game. So, this is kind of like you got to manage these things like anybody else. So let's get right to this. First thing I want to talk about. So you want to launch a new product, right? I said previously, you need maybe 6 to 10,000. After kind of adding this stuff up, you probably need about 8 to 10,000. And I'm going to explain why. So let's get started and talk about first budget, right? You're going to have probably 8 to 10K. And the reason I say 8 to 10 is because when I added this up with a calculator, when I put it all together, you're easily, even on the low end, you're easily going to be over $3,000. So let's just say you get your photos done really cheap, like a few $100, or even doing them yourself, if you're good at that. If you're good at editing and taking pictures, you have a decent camera. Trademark and brand registry. It's recommended that you do get that to start because honestly it helps protect your brand. So that's like $750 plus. Set up a business, probably a good idea because it protects you. It protects your assets, right? $400 plus. Amazon insurance, you're going to have to get that, okay? As soon as you start making sales. Now at first you won't, but eventually you will. So if you are successful in the first month or two, I don't know what the threshold is. I think it's like $10,000. I think you have to get insurance at that point. So that's easily going to be $500 or more depending on the product. If it's, I'll get into more details about that later. Shipping, product cost, we're not even there yet, right? PPC needs at least $1,000, $600 to $1,000 for the first month. Amazon software, yeah, you can pay per month or you can pay yearly, but that's going to easily cost you yearly $600 to $2,400 or more a month, a year. Yeah, you have your monthly fees, $40 a month. So, your patent search if you need it, that could get very expensive. So there's quite a bit there, and that's before you even get the product launch. You get your sample costs. You're probably going to need 1, 2, 3 samples. Sometimes I've had 5, 6, 7 samples at $100 a pop. That adds up. Some samples they want $300, $400 for. So what I'm saying is, before you even get your product launched, you're probably going to be responsible for $3,000 to $4,000 in costs. So just think about that. And if you have $6,000, you only have $3,000 left or less. So you're probably going to need at least $8,000. I would say closer to 10. But yes, you can use credit. No, I'm not recommending any of that or any of this. This is all my personal experience. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer. So I'm just telling you, realistically, the kind of money you're going to need at this point with inflation, the way things have gone up, you're going to need a nice chunk of change, 8 to 10,000. If you don't have it, get off your ass, go work for it, stop messing around. Go to garage sales, flip items. Go to auctions, flip items. Go get a side job until you have enough to do this and try. There's a lot of ways you can get that extra money, and if you're not doing it, you're just. Look, I'm not saying there aren't some people out there that absolutely couldn't do it. Maybe there's a single mom or something that's struggling her butt off who's already working 2 jobs just to put food on the table. I don't know your situation, but I think the large majority of people out there just being. Let me put it this way: if this is a priority, then you'll make it a priority to make that money to get there. If you really want to do this and get out of your 9 to 5, you'll make it a priority. If you don't make it a priority, you'll never get out of your 9 to 5. You'll always be there, and if you're miserable there, then you'll stay there. You can bitch about it and moan about it, but really it's because you haven't put the work in. Now, there are exceptions to that, I'm sure, but I think most of the time people just aren't willing to trade their free time to do this. And you can do it a few hours a day, and you can do it, but if you're not willing to do it to get the money together to do this and learn how to do it, then that's on you. You know what I mean? Because I did it. I was getting 5 hours of sleep, and I was working and going to work. I was driving an hour and 15 minutes each way. And I was listening to audio stuff about how to do this in my car. I used my tax money and I used credit, and I even had some overtime money that I used. So I don't want to hear any bitching. Do the work, do the hustle. If you want to do it, you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it. You got to change your mindset in order for this to happen if you truly want to make it happen. So I'll leave it at that. But it's so true. Your mindset has to change. Stop making excuses. Take responsibility for everything that happens. Be accountable. And I promise you your life will change. But it will not change if you don't at least do that. Anyway, ran over. LLC. Do you need one? Where do you get one? I've always used InkFile. Why? It's simple. They walk you through it. Now, the confusing part for me is like, what type of LLC do you open up? You don't have to have an S corp. I have one because once you make a certain amount of money, an S corp can be very advantageous as far as taxes go. You can set up a payroll. You can take certain advances and such. And to be quite honest, I don't fully understand it myself. That's why I have a good accountant. So find yourself a good accountant if you start making some real money, and then considering changing your LLC to an S corp. And the reason to have an LLC to begin with, I've been told by lawyers, and I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, that Delaware and Wyoming have the most favorable laws when it comes to taxes, or excuse me, when it comes to being sued. So if you have an LLC in one of those states, it's supposed to be a little more, you're a little less likely to get sued for your personal assets, I suppose. I do not have them in there. I have them in PA, but I have an S corp, so it's a little different, and I have LLCs under my S corp. So I'll leave it at that. But you do want to start with an LLC. It doesn't have to be an S corp. It can be a dot. It can be like incorporated, or it can be an LLC. You know, as long as it's going to come out of your personal. It's tax-wise going to come out of your personal anyway. It's more so for like liability, right? But also you're going to have insurance, which will cover you for issues with the product too. And Amazon's going to require that after I think 10K in sales. If I'm not mistaken, it could be a different number. So let's talk about the product or brand. Where do we start? Do we start with the product? Do we start with the audience? Do we start with, where do we start? It's like, did the chicken lay the egg, or did the egg make the chicken, and then where do you start? So the next part is, you don't, in my opinion, have to start. There's a great book by Ryan Moran. It's called 12 Months to a Million. I really highly recommend that book. It's very much related to what I'm talking about here. Very much related. It is related to launching a brand, building a social media following, and launching on Amazon, or at least starting there and then building the brand out from there. Now, I haven't been really successful with launching outside of Amazon, but this is more so specific to Amazon. But it's a great place to start because Amazon's like 1 out of every 2 sales online. So it's such a great, huge market. That being said, do I start with the audience like Brian Moran talks about? Know your audience. So for example, my last product, I trained kids, I helped train kids to come back from sports injuries because I was a PT assistant. So I knew some of the things they used for that, right? I was able to put a bundle together, able to put products together that worked towards that, and I was able to build a brand, sell over $1 million in revenue, and I was able to sell that brand. I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just telling you my history, so at least you know I'm not full of shit, right? But my point being is I knew my audience. I already knew it. I didn't have to, and I could talk to people directly that I worked with and that I worked on. So I kind of knew my audience, knew what we needed to put into these products, and I knew we needed quality, and that's how it kind of developed. It was an idea that I got from a mentor, but I was able to develop that idea because I understood the target market. You need to understand your target market. Now, you could start with the market itself, the audience itself, or you could, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a product that has, I think, potential, and then I'm going to reverse it. So let's just say I find something with stitching. I don't really know much about stitching. I know my mom used to stitch. I know I've seen people stitch. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but let's say I find a stitching kit or something like that. So what I could do is I said, this stitching kit sells. I could sell this, but I don't know much about stitching. What do people want in the stitching kit? What kind of needles? What kind of threads, right? What kind of tools do they want in a stitching kit? I just don't know that. I don't know enough about stitching. So you almost have to become an expert on that product. You'd have to maybe watch some YouTube videos, join a Facebook group or something like that. Maybe even join a local group and find out more about that product. The more you know about the product, the better you're going to be able to tailor it to the needs of that group. And that's what it's all about. Finding the niche and understanding the niche, understanding the people within that niche, and understanding what they want in a product. If you can put yourself in their shoes, and figure out what they want, that's how you build a great product. It solves problems, it gives them what they want. But if you are the target market, you kind of understand it already. So if you're really into stitching, or for example, whatever you're into, if you launch a product in that niche and you already understand it, you are the target market. So you potentially could know what to already put in there without having to do the research. But I do recommend always doing some research, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to, just sum it up, we're going to find a product, we're going to reverse it and go back, and if I don't know the market, which I might and I might not, I'm going to get more information on the market, figure out what it is they want, figure out how I can make it better, and then launch from there. So I'm hopefully going to find 3 or 4 good ideas, try to find out more about that niche, and then try to launch a product within that niche based off of those ideas and based off of what I can figure out about that niche and the people within that niche that would buy that product. So again, read the book by Ryan Moran. Highly interesting book. Really has great information. I listen to a lot of books, audiobooks really, but definitely recommend it. So that's how we kind of want to get started. These are the things you want to consider. There are more things, yes, but these are the things kind of right off the bat that you want to consider when you're first starting a product. So this is the first video. I will go into more product research in depth in my next video, and I'll also talk about some of the interesting ways of getting some money together to kind of do a launch, which I have the money, but how we're making some money, I'll talk about that. So and talk about how my friend who I'm launching with makes money, how he makes his living. That's a very interesting story. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tune in for the next video, and I should hopefully have that up by tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, guys. I got to hit up my daughter's softball game. You guys have a great night, and God bless.